At that point of time, I was working under a senior Congress leader, Bisheshwar Prasad Koirala. It was the context that I was just out of the university in Varanasi, and I had decided to join him in politics. So my name is Chakra Prasad Bastola. I come from Nepal, eastern part of Nepal. And when I say eastern part of Nepal, it makes us closer to Bangladesh in the sense that we somehow or the other adjoin the Dinajpur district. We are in the vicinity of Dinajpur district. So it was this consignment of arms which I was asked to deliver to the Mukti Bahini, and I along with two other friends, one Colonel D.B. Rai, who joined us from Purnia. He came from Fabisganj. Another Mr. Sharma who came along with me from Varanasi. Three of us drove to Titulia. It must have been a day before, midnight, or in the same day, you must say, because it was past 1 o'clock. That is when your government in exile had just taken oath. So we drove down to Thakurgaon, and we had some Mukti Bahini guys receiving us in the border at Titulia. And we drove to Thakurgaon, where there was a major who was in charge there. We delivered the arms there. We spent the night there at Thakurgaon. There is I don't know now, but there used to be a sugar mill, and we spent the night in the guest house of the sugar mill. And the next morning we were to drive to the border. To the border means where the fighting was taking place. So we drove down, like it was, I think it must have been almost 2 hours of drive from Thakurgaon. And we had expressed a desire to visit the front. And on the way, there was a Pakistan Assembly member, MPA from that region. So we participated in the government formation or announcement or whatever in one of the villages along with him. And then we reached the front. That was the headquarters of the Mukti Bahini. And while there, he was one Mr. Chatterjee or Chakravarti. He was in charge there. So he was supposed to take us to the front where there was fighting. And there was a river, he told us. There was the river, the Pakistani army was on the other side and the Mukti Bahini on this side. And Pakistanis were trying to cross over. And they were trying to blow up the bridge and didn't have enough ammunition to do that, because the Pakistani forces were with tanks and they were with small arms only. So that, their need was for bigger arms and mortars to blow up bridges and tanks like that. So this gentleman who was in charge of that headquarters, he went to the front. He had to respond to somebody. He rushed to not the border, to the front where the fighting was taking place. And from there he gave us a message that he would advise us to go back as the situation was not congenial. So we had to rush back. And by the time we crossed the Indian border, Pakistani forces had occupied the place. That was the news from the All India Radio. As I said, it was just past 1 o'clock when we crossed the border. When we reached Thakurgaon, it must have been almost 2 o'clock. And the officer there, there were santris, maybe 15, 20 years old boys with rifles and with lungis, They were there, As a young revolutionary, I was excited to see all this. And of course this excitement also, it encouraged me to visit the place where the fighting was taking place. And we had brought this one of our senior leaders, who participated in the in one of the Indian Azad Hind Fauj. So this gentleman who had joined me from Purnia, so he had worked with the Azad Hind Fauj, so experienced hand, So we said if we can leave him back for training and things like that. And since there was some language problems, so there was no need. They said they had, and I could understand a little bit of Bengali. So it's with that we could communicate a little bit, And the first association was the International Conference on Bangladesh, held in New Delhi and held at the India International Center in New Delhi, where it was an international meeting, and I was with my leader participating in that meeting. So we were well aware of the happenings, going on. My leader, he asked me, because I was involved in that, I was in fact looking into that aspect of the activities. So he says, this is the request, what do you think? So I said, maybe we don't need it right now. So since they need it, we can give them and we can ask them when we need it. So I did come back twice or thrice after that. That is, after the Pakistani occupation forces had taken over Thakurgaon as well. I came back after the independence. So that time, I could see that the bunkers built, and you can see what you call these mattresses inside the bunkers. And then, the situation was quite totally different. The young woman being rampantly raped and the cases of such people, that was the situation that is after when I visited the next time. Now when we look at the situation here in Bangladesh, the situation back home in Nepal, I feel that, maybe a violent method, that is the last resort, of course. People don't resort to it otherwise, but still, it has a price to pay. Like in your country now, maybe in our country also it's going to be like that. The preeminence and predominance of arms in the hands of the people would be a very great risk to democracy and to the peaceful transformation of a country and society.